How's it going, everyone? Nathan Shepard coming here. I'm going to give you some Week 5 sleeper picks for DraftKings. Got a lot this week, so I'm going to try to get through these pretty quickly. Quarterback Carson Wentz seems to be pretty undervalued at 5.8 thousand playing Minnesota. Minnesota's defense is quietly overrated. I think Wentz is going to have a good game today at home. I like Matthew Stafford at home, $5,700 against the Packers. Looking for a bit of a shootout there, probably. So Stafford should offer you some good value there at $5,700. Alex Smith, $5,700 as well. They're not going to throw the ball so much in Washington, but being that they're playing in New Orleans on the turf, I think they're going to throw the ball a little bit more than they expect to, and Alex Smith should probably give you some good value as well at $5,700. And also Derek Carr, $5,200, playing against the Chargers in LA. I think he's highly undervalued there. That looks to be a high-scoring game, maybe the highest-scoring game of the week. Now, looking at some running backs here, we have Adrian Peterson still hanging around at $5,300. They're playing New Orleans with a weak run defense. I expect him to get in the end zone at least one time in this game. They will be sharing some carries, but he will be the goal line guy, and I look him to be able to pick up some big gains against the New Orleans defense. Joe Mixon, now he may be the best running back sleeper of the week. It's $6,900 playing against the Miami Dolphins. He's well worth it, especially because Giovanni Bernard is out this week. So he looks to get a load of the carries, and they're playing against the Miami Dolphins, who don't have a stout run defense. Now, this is kind of a long shot here. Nick Chubb playing Baltimore. They may run into some trouble against the run against Baltimore. They got a stout defense, so they may go to the rookie Nick Chubb. He had a couple of touchdowns last week. Impressive showing for the rookie. Nick Chubb is probably the most talented running back in this roster, so they may just go ahead and decide to give him a few more carries than normal. So being that he's $3,800, he could offer you some good value for a cheap guy to fill out your roster. Alfred Morris as well, $3,600. Now that's only if Matt Breida's out. If Matt Breida's out, Alfred Morris looks to get the majority of the carries. So for $3,600, he's going to be a good pick against Arizona. However, if Matt Breida's in, I looked for them to split time, and I wouldn't pick up either one of them. Now, T.J. Yeldon with Jacksonville, they were playing Kansas City. Jacksonville's going to try to slow this game down. That's going to be in the favor of Yeldon. Kansas City's run defense is not too good, so and they're going to come out firing to try to make a high-scoring game. So I think Jacksonville's going to try to control the clock, and that will benefit Yeldon either way, because if it turns into a shootout, they're probably going to throw Yeldon the ball a few times as well. Now, we have David Johnson. He's struggled this season. However, they are playing San Francisco this week, so for $6,300, he's probably a little bit undervalued there. Look for him to get back into the swing because he's faced some tough defenses so far, some of the toughest in the league with a team that hasn't been very good. So look for David Johnson to have a little bit of a bounce back as far as fantasy numbers go this week 5. Now, next we have LaShawn McCoy for $4,900. That just sounds like a joke. LaShawn McCoy, $4,900. They're at home against Tennessee. Now, Buffalo hasn't been good, but he's still LaShawn McCoy. So for $4,900, I expect him to outperform that number, even though it is against the Titans, who have an all right defense. Now, some wide receivers. Alshon Jeffrey, coming back off injury, had a great game last week. $6,200, probably undervalued against Minnesota. Their defense, like I said earlier, it hasn't been playing up to snuff. That's probably a pretty good deal on Jeffrey. Cooper Kupp, still $6,300. They're playing in Seattle. Now, based on their scheme, a guy like Cooper Kupp would benefit because he comes from out of the slot, and he still gets the most scores the most fantasy points, being the third receiver on the Rams team. So Cooper Kupp is $6,300 in Seattle, might still be worth it there. Now, Calvin Ridley playing Pittsburgh. That's probably going to be a shootout as well. $5,800. I expect his price to jump after this week because he's probably going to have another big game. So this might be the last week you can get Calvin Ridley that cheap. He's probably going to go up to around the 7s. Next, we've got Amari Cooper. He's been streaky, but playing against the Chargers, as I said, I like all the Raider receivers in this one. $5,500 for Cooper, $4,500 for Jordy Nelson, Jared Cook at tight end for $4,800. You may even want to get Martavius Bryant for $3,400 if you have a chance, because I expect them to be tossing all around in this game, and all these Raiders receivers are valued pretty low. Next, I got Kenny Stills. Miami and Cincinnati could possibly get into a bit of a shootout. Kenny Stills, #1 receiver with the Dolphins. He's got the speed, and I think if they're going to be looking to put up some points, they're going to be looking for Stills. So I expect Stills to be able to get a couple of big plays in this one, possibly 1 or 2 touchdowns for $5,400. Mohamed Sanu, third receiver technically now for the Atlanta Falcons. They're playing Pittsburgh for $4,000. That's probably a pretty good pick there. As I said, it's going to be a shootout, so I expect Sanu to be able to do a little bit something there. It might be worth taking a look at him. Cameron Meredith. Now, Ted Ginn is out. So Drew Brees, he likes to throw the ball. Everybody knows that. With his #2 receiver out, Cameron Meredith at $3,800 may be worth the risk playing against the Redskins. Also, Traquan Smith, $3,300, who's technically their 4 receiver, also stands a chance to get some balls thrown his way this game, even though he hasn't done too much this season. As far as a couple more tight ends, we've got Vance McDonald at 3,700, Pittsburgh's tight end, and we've also got Austin Hooper, Atlanta's tight end. He hasn't done too much this season with Calvin Ridley breaking onto the scene. Sanu's still out there, but Pittsburgh's always terrible against tight ends. So you may want to look at Austin Hooper for only $3,000. Now, as far as defenses, I think Philly's defense is undervalued once again. Minnesota, I think, is overrated. Philly's defense is only $2,600 playing at home against the Minnesota Vikings. And last but not least, I'm going to say that the for San Francisco 49er defense, they're playing Arizona, even though I think David Johnson may bounce back a little bit. Arizona still hasn't really got it figured out. I think San Francisco's at home. The crowd will get into the game, and I think their defense may be able to possibly create a couple turnovers and get a score. So for $3,000, I think that San Francisco defense may play a little bit above its head against these Arizona Cardinals. So that's all I've got for this week. As far as shootouts, I think that, of course, the Pittsburgh-Atlanta is going to be a big shootout. I expect that the Raiders and Chargers to be a big shootout as well. So any players from those games will be good. Also, Green Bay and Detroit, they tend to get after. It's going to be in Detroit, so it's an artificial surface. So you can look for Stafford, and you can look for Rodgers. And, Detroit's got the same receivers. Galladay will probably be pretty decent. And they've got some injuries over there in Green Bay, so you're going to want to check that out. Randall Cobb's out. So Geronimo Allison's questionable, as is Devontae Adams. Whoever ends up going for Green Bay is probably going to be worth it as well. So please like, share, and subscribe. Have fun with these picks today. If you enjoyed this video, throw me a little something on GoFundMe. Trying to raise a little bit of money here to get more videos going. I can do more content, do more quality content. So trying to raise a little something for that. So as I said, please like, share, and subscribe, and thank you for watching.